the first Italian company, one of the first European companies to embrace the open innovation challenge and to start the open innovation journey. Remember, we started working together back in 2015. And so there is a longer experience in trying to modify the approach to innovation and try to onboard innovation as much as possible from outside. And so I think it was good, almost 10 years later, to sit with you and to get your perspective on certain points. Number one being, first of all, you are a company working in the energy, utility sector, and what has changed in the past 5 to 10 years, and looking forward what is about to change. So again, looking at the technology scenarios that are ahead of us and looking back what it was, what has changed significantly based on your perspective, and what you believe could be the next big pivotal change?
Yes, first of all, thanks for inviting me, and very happy to be here. What has changed? Has changed is more what has changed than what is remaining as it was 10 years ago. We are today in the middle of a big transformation in this sector, and what is incredible to me that I started working on fossil fuel power plants is how fast it has happened. And I always ask myself, what has been the driver for this transformation, no? And the driver has been basically, I think, technology evolution, technology innovation. So if I look to the most important technologies that are part of this transformation, let's think to PV. And I look 10 years in the past, and I see a lot of change in this technology. So the efficiency of PV panel at the beginning was perhaps below 10%. Today is 22%. In front of us, we have the possibility to reach 32% efficiency. That means with the same panel, I can produce 3 times the energy that was produced 10 years ago, perhaps in 5 years from now. And today I'm producing double the energy that I was able to produce 10 years before. The cost has decreased 10 times in 10 years. Incredible. If I look to batteries, the same, 40% increase in energy density in batteries in 10 years. That means that in a kilo of battery material, I can store 40% more energy at 10 times lower costs. Okay, so this is the change in technology that has been determined by innovation, technological innovation, that has generated the transition we are living today. Okay, it's not just a matter of sustainability; it's a matter of technology that are made possible from an economical point of view. This transition. So what I see, looking to the future, I see first of all that we are not at the end of this process. We will have in front of us a further revolution. So as I have said, if I look to PV, that I think is one of the most promising technology in terms of generation, I think that what we will see in 10 years from now will be more or less the same evolution we have seen in the last 10 years in terms of cost and in terms of efficiency. The same on batteries. If I look to 10 years in front of us, I see solid-state batteries, new technologies able to store 4 times more energy in the same volumes and in the same mass. And we enable this transformation to accelerate more and more. Okay, so that's what I see. The other point that I see is a big evolution in grid infrastructure. That's really something that I think at the beginning we have not seen the proper time, in the proper way, because we have seen this transformation more as decarbonization of the generation system. But this transformation will happen basically thanks to the evolution of the grids, not only to the evolution of generation systems. Grids will become more and more digitalized and will become more and more resilient, so able to tolerate and to manage the change that we see in the climate. And this will happen due to digitalization, power electronics that will be integrated into our grids, edge computing, that is something that we will see. So each primary and secondary substation will become more or less a computational center able to elaborate data and support the management of the grid. And all this will be supported by strong investments in grids. So just to give you a number, in Europe, we have developed a study. Recently, we presented a study, and we see that the grid in Europe will require 65 billion per year investments in the coming years to reach the decarbonization targets that the European Commission has set by 2050. Okay, in Italy, 6 billion. That is double what has been invested in 2023. 6 billion investment in grid infrastructure every year from now to 2030. So that's the level of investment that will be also the driver for innovation to happen in this area. And the third point that to me is very, very important, it will be automation and I would say distributed intelligence, no artificial intelligence, but this will be something that will pervade all the infrastructure, renewables, grids, but also customer infrastructure. Okay, so this will happen more and more. Robotics will be also something that we will see. We are seeing a lot of robotics entering also in the grid management processes that allows to increase efficiency, but allows also to improve safety, for example. But also in the generation area, we see a lot of robotics entering into the management, the operation maintenance activities of these plants. So these are the major trends I see. So generation technologies will evolve, battery storage, a lot of battery storage, and storage system to increase flexibility, grid infrastructure, automation, and artificial intelligence.
And you say that the driver has been technology. It's been a technology change.
I think the driver of this transformation is basically technology that have generated the conditions to make the transition economically viable, okay, and possible. That is very important. And this is why today, for example, there is a big discussion in many countries, Europe at least, on how to control the technology process. Okay, so what we have seen in the last 10 years, these technologies produced a lot in countries that are not Europe, and sometimes that are not the United States as well.
Yeah.
And so how can we reshore or how we can improve in the control of the technology? It is a key question, because if you control the technology, you are able to manage in the proper way this transition.
You're driving your future.
Yes.
So
what in the past were the control of fossil fuels and fossil energy resources, in the future will be technology control.
And talking about technology, first of all, a question. Again, I know you since a while, probably not 10 years, but almost. I forgot the first time we met to ask you if you could believe that such changes, such technological progress might be possible. If I ask you 10 years ago, I say, do you believe it might be possible to reach those goals? What you have said?
I have seen, let's look to the forecasting and let's compare the forecasting with what has really happened in the last 10 years. And I did an interesting exercise some years ago, taking the forecasting of International Energy Agency and comparing with the actual results. And what we saw as happening every time, every year overcome the forecasting, you know. This means that the speed of this transition, at least in the first phase, has been higher than expected. So the answer is probably I would not expect that in 10 years we will be able to shift the way we generate electricity. Seeing plants that 10 years ago were coal and gas plants going completely out of operation. No? Of course, is this speed going to continue this way in the coming 10 years? Difficult to say, because there are many different factors that can influence. So I don't think the energy transition is a linear process. It's a process that will go up and down with some phases of acceleration, some phases of deceleration. But what is sure is the trend. So this will happen, and will happen not only for environmental and sustainability reasons, will happen mainly, firstly, for economical reasons.
And also for political push.
For political push.
As well as there might be, in a certain way, slowed down by political tension, geopolitical tension, that a certain way can change the overall scenario. And
yes,
can...
but I think the political push, if economically this transition will not be viable, is not enough. So it's a combination of the two that creates the condition for this transition to happen.
We can say that there is a strong will. I would say that at a certain point technology finds its way. So going back to your what you said before, you say that this process has been technology driven, and again has been technology driven, probably through a different way of innovation that is no longer the internal R&D innovation, mostly the open innovation approach. So what you've seen also changing on the way technology progress happen, meaning how this the way to innovate, the approach to innovation has changed over the past few years, and what you see for the next incoming years. What is your perception?
Yeah, my perception is that more and more companies are approaching innovation in an open way. So, and this has also been a big change, I would say, in the last 10 years, no? Because the way companies innovated in the past was based on internal innovation. But what we have seen in the last 10 years is, at least our experience, was a complete shift from an internal innovation and R&D process to an open innovation process. And again, this is something that has been required by the speed of change, okay? So there is not the right model or the wrong model. Every model needs to be considered according to the context we are. And we decided to change because this change around us was so big and so quick, the speed was so high that would not be possible to manage this change only with our resources and with our energy. So we decided to open our model and to use innovations that are happening everywhere, and to find those that fit our challenges and our problems, and try to solve our challenges and problems, engaging external players, external innovators, external ecosystem on our problems. So we have created an ecosystem and a network of around 150,000 players that we engage with different tools, with a crowdsourcing platform, so with innovation by vendors process. That is a structured process through which we engage our vendors to collaborate in developing new solutions according to our needs. Through the innovation hubs that we have opened in different parts of the world where innovation happens. One is here in San Francisco. Also engaging our employees through a specific programs that we have created, internal crowdsourcing programs where employees are able to propose solutions and to participate to this innovation process. So this is what we have done. We have created, for sure, a huge ecosystem. We have also created and developed a company culture that is key, making people part of this challenge. Where we are now, we are in a phase, according also to the external environment, that compared to 3 or 4 years ago has changed, where we need to increase our efficacy in doing things, okay? So what I mean, if I look to our pipeline, we typically evaluate 2,000 solutions per year. We develop 100, 200 projects per year, and we scale up 20, 10 solutions per year. This means 10 solutions, 20 to 2,000 opportunities evaluated, I don't know, 1%, okay? So what we are trying to do is to increase the rate of success of the innovation we do, okay? And try to measure the results we achieve with clear KPIs that are quantitative and that are able to show the value that is generated. Okay, so we are passing from a phase where we were measured on the number of proof of concepts, on the number of innovation projects, to a phase where we are more and more measured on the number of results that we are able to scale up into our business. And there is a big difference between proof of concept and scale-up application. I have seen a lot of proof of concept also with good results that were not able to scale up. And the reason for that are many. Okay, the perception of the risk by the decision makers or by those that have to put the money to scale up, or wrong evaluations at the beginning that we discovered at a later stage. That's a wrong problem we decided to work on. So
can you make some examples again?
Yeah. For example, what we used to do in the past sometimes is to focus on challenges that were important but not so important. Okay, I want to give you an example. We tested for a number of years many different solutions able to support our people in doing repetitive works, exoskeleton. No, this is something I also mentioned this morning, and we started thinking, okay, we need to build a lot of PV plants that are big, where people need to move panels from one place to the other place, so thousands of planets. Perhaps these solutions can support us in doing the work and can make our people work also in a better way, okay? So that was the challenge, and we decided to start working on that. And we decided to evaluate different solutions. We did a lot of proof of concept, engaging people on the field in using the tool and so on and so forth. No? But at the end of this process, we understood that we are not a car manufacturing company, where the major part of the work is repetitive. The level of flexibility in doing tasks is not so high. So the standardization can be very deep. And this instrument can be deeply and extensively used, okay? In our situation, every project is different because change the technology, change the kind of, in case of PV panels, tracker we use, sometimes it's fixed, sometimes it's not fixed. The configuration is different. People need flexibility because the movement they do can change and can vary. And so the level of application of this solution at the end resulted to be very low. And when you have a solution that can be applied only on a few cases, this is the typical case where you cannot start up the solution because there is not a business case, no? The cost is higher and the complexity is higher than the benefit you get. So this is an example, okay, of something that didn't go well and that perhaps could be evaluated since the beginning in a better way, avoiding to spend couple of years of testing.
Well, let me rephrase what you just said. I think that it worked well. I think that your POC worked, meaning that technically the solution was fitting the original challenge, but there was not enough meaningful and sizable business case to support the application. That was the problem.
Yeah, there was not let's say in this way, there was not a sufficient market, no, to
internal
market to deploy the solution. Okay, so as in the you need to address the market before you start developing a product. If you work in a product company, no, even in the utility sector, you need to address the market in the proper way before deciding to develop or to work deeply on a solution. So that's something that typically happens in innovation. That means basically do not prioritize in the best way and in the proper way the different opportunities you have in front of us.
So don't get in love with the potential technological challenge, but make sure there is a solid business case behind.
Yes, exactly.
Because honestly, I do believe that a 1-2% success ratio is the proper one dealing with innovation. The point is try to apply to use cases that might be very impactful for the company. Because the problem is that you're successful on something that has an impact big like this, probably you have been technically successful,
if your
but
1% is a numerical 1%,
Exactly.
not a value-based 1%, perhaps it's not.
so
a
the
good-
value of the 1% successful deployment is $1 or is 1 billion. That is probably that makes
the
the
problem.
difference. So focusing ahead of time to try to find the business cases, use cases that has a potential meaningful for the business of the company. So this is the evolution you're working on,
Yes.
because it's not that easy to start working ahead of time. It requires probably a double due diligence, so technical due diligence or business due diligence ahead of time in order to be very, very selective in what to do next.
Yeah.
Another question, Nicola, is you have been one of the first company to open an innovation outpost in Silicon Valley. Years later, why Silicon Valley? Is Silicon Valley still meaningful? It's just digital, it's just AI, or there is something more, something else?
The answer is yes. I think Silicon Valley is still an incredible place where innovation happens. And I want to share with you a comment that Mr. Draghi did some days ago when he presented to the European Commission the recommendations for changing a little bit the positioning also on innovation technology of the European Commission. And he says we need to transform researchers into inventors and inventors into entrepreneurs. And I think the special thing here is that there are not inventors that become entrepreneurs, but there are inventors that are also entrepreneurs. And this does a lot of difference, okay? Because we need inventors that are able to develop new things, but that are able also to sell and to develop a business model and a business plan for their company that is sustainable. Okay, that means able to scale up, that are able to attract capitals for their companies, and so to scale up. Okay, so that's the point. And here this happens. So there are many companies that scale up very quickly, and they scale up on innovative products and services they offer. Okay, digital or not digital? At the beginning, we thought that here the main focus should be digital, and we tried also to address here our challenges related to digital aspects. But at the end, looking to what we have reached in the past years and what we are doing, we also found a lot of solutions outside the digital space.
Can you give a couple of examples just to...
Yeah, in the digital space, Nozomi Network is perhaps the most known and interesting success story. So we entered in touch with this company when they really were not a company yet. They just had an idea and a very preliminary product. And they developed a proof of concept with us. We were able to scale up their product into our company, and they also were able to grow a lot, being based here. So that's really.
And you trusted them the first day when they
yes
plug it in, and your plans went down, right?
Yeah. But for example, what we are working for some companies here in the field of network, for example, in the understanding and in the management of the vegetation around our networks. Okay, so vegetation management is a very important problem to
help us to understand this, because again,
So basically, for example, in Brazil, we manage big networks in big cities like São Paulo. And the management of vegetation impact a lot on the availability of the service. And sometimes during storms, trees go on the grids and create unavailability. Sometimes they touch the grid and you can have a fire, and so on and so forth. So to be able to manage and to understand how to do the maintenance, where to do the maintenance, is key. And there is a lot of value. And we are trying to do this through the elaboration of satellite images. The problem here is that the definition you need is sometimes too high, and so the cost of the data you need are high. And so we are trying to do this with new solutions able to address the problem also with with a level of quality of the images that is acceptable, okay? And there are companies coming from this area that are supporting us in doing this. But we are working also, for example, in the field of cables, innovative cables. That means lighter cables. That means high performance cables. And so thinking to the fact you work on digital or also in other fields, no, we have found solutions in this area, also in other fields.
Okay, so very hardcore solution. Very cool. Okay, I think our time is up. Probably there is time for a question. Any question from the audience? Yes, over there.
I used to work for Enel, so I know in the context of the previous conversations that we had, I think it would be really exciting to have you address a thought that was brought up earlier around how your acquisition strategy sort of can help you reimagine the future or reinvent yourself and kind of move in the future direction. I don't know if, Enernoc is the right example or not, but if you can talk about sort of changes to the grid that you're seeing and also how you're getting the consumer more involved. So maybe demand side management is the right application. But if you can talk about, the success or regrets around that specific acquisition as like a case study of, whether you think you did well on sort of integrating it and like managing the future, or you think there are things that, you could do better with that type of startup acquisition.
Yeah, it was really not the standard story for us because we typically do not acquire companies. In our model, we work with the companies, buying them products or buying their services, but we do not enter into these companies and we do not acquire the control of the company. Because in our experience, when we have done this in the past, we have a little bit blocked the company because we have forced the company to adapt to our standards, to our rules. That big corporations are also complicated, and this is not something that creates a value. Okay, so I think this is the right way to innovate in a big corporation, at least like us, that we do not develop technology, we do not develop, we use technology. So the right way is to help partners to develop their products for us and for the market, and use with an outside-in model their capabilities to improve our way of doing business. That's the right model. Then the customer engagement is key for us, and let's say flexibility of the grid is part of the transformation. Use of the capability of customer to produce or consume energy in a flexible way is something that I see a lot in the future. And we have started a number of projects that are projects that carried out together with regulators in different parts of the world, in Italy, in Spain, in Brazil. And we are testing also software solutions that are able to manage flexibility, demand size flexibility, in order to support the optimization of the grid operation, okay? So it's something I think will arrive, but again, we can develop these things through an approach and a model that is not that of acquiring a company. It could be also that of supporting the growth of products and services and use them without acquiring the companies we work with.